One of the frequently asked questions in the civic world is, should civic officers be expected to help their mayors with fundraising? And somebody raised this point to me recently, so I think it's kind of interesting. So I thought I'd give you my thoughts on it. Well, I mean, first and foremost, I think we have to ask, why do a lot of civic dignitaries expect council officers to help them with their fundraising? I mean, it doesn't actually make sense, does it? Because council officers are council officers. They are not fundraisers. Assuming that they wanted to do that, that's what they would be doing rather than working at the council. So it seems kind of strange that a lot of dignitaries assume that civic officers are going to help them out. I expect the reason that they do expect that they're going to get some help is because historically, maybe they did. Maybe historically civic officers were helping out with the fundraising. Maybe historically councils thought it was a good use of their resources. And most today don't think so. Most today think it's not an essential part of their remit. So it's not something they want to spend their resources on. But I think historically we have the impression that councils used to help out. Whether they did or not, we think they did. So there is a bit of an impression that maybe civic officers are there to help out with fundraising. So how do we counter that? Well, I think that comes down to our old friend preparation and induction, and getting to the point where we can be very clear with, on both sides, from the point of view of officers and the point of view of dignitaries, be very clear that they both understand who does what. And that's, of course, a matter of good induction and good preparation, which is generally a matter of selecting people nice and early and spending the time getting to understand the way the roles work. It's something that I always encourage people that I work with to do. Spend a lot of time working out what their civic office is going to do for them and what it isn't going to do for them, and working out how the boundaries work. I think that's really, really important. So if we can get that understanding before we start, we're going to have less misunderstandings. We're going to be a lot better about it. But I think there's also clearing up the idea about charity. I mean, a lot of people think that the only thing you can do for charity is raise money for them. But of course, actually, you can use your position as mayor to raise awareness for a charity. That's often as powerful. I think if you can get a few people who are really interested in supporting a charity, who then go on to support it for years, decades even, that'll often have more effect than the few £1,000s that you might raise during your time in office. So I think part of the induction process, part of the preparation process, is helping mayors to understand that sometimes it's as effective to promote a charity as it is to fundraise for them. And of course, promotion involves a lot less officer time. There's a great example on my Mayor of the Month section recently. Helen Pighills, former Mayor of Abingdon-on-Thames. She took that approach, very, very effective at it as well. And I think that the whole issue of charity, it can form a bit of a trade-off. I think there are some people that get into being mayor. They want to do it because they see it as an opportunity to do some good work for charity, and that's laudable, it's important, it's great. And I think there's a part of developing a vision for what your time in office is going to be, and part of that can be about what you want to do for charity. And I think it's great to encourage that and to make that part of what they want to do with their time in office. But actually, visions can be much broader than pursuing one particular avenue. So I think that if you do the preparation, the induction correctly, you can get dignitaries to a point where they're spending some time and effort working on the charity stuff, but they're also actually actively thinking about how they can help their council, how they can have the most impact on their community over and above what they want to do for charity. So I think it can form a part of what somebody's doing during the year, and it can be used as an incentive, if you like. You know, you get the opportunity to promote your charity or to support your charity, and in turn you also work on furthering the council's aims and objectives. And then finally, I think that something that I've seen work quite effectively is when mayors recruit their own external charity committee. So it's a group of people to just help them. I had quite a lot of help when I was mayor, and it was invaluable, and it reduced the pressure on officers, and it increased the amount of money that we made. So I think the idea of encouraging mayors to create their own committee is a great one. But I think we could probably even go further than that. We could formalise, have a standing charity committee that supports the mayor in their fundraising throughout the year. And that would be made up of probably former dignitaries, maybe even former mayoresses. It would be made up certainly of the chaplain of the year and maybe some friends of the current mayor, some people who are prepared to come along and do a bit of work, have some skills, that sort of thing. Also representatives from the charity that the money's being raised for. But finally, and I think most interestingly, if you have a formal committee, if you have a bit of a process for supporting the mayor, you can open that up to the staff of the council. So while particular civic officers may not be that interested in fundraising, I guarantee you there's somebody in your council that would love the opportunity to help the mayor out with their fundraising. And if you say, look, you know, this is on a voluntary basis, this is obviously not part of your job, but would you like to get involved with the mayor's charity fundraising event? I guarantee you'll get people taking you up on the offer. And actually, I think there's some evidence to suggest that employers that encourage their employees to be more engaged in charitable activities and community events and things like that actually have happier staff. So it's a win-win. It's a bonus for the employee, it's a bonus for the mayor who gets a bit of extra support, and it's a bonus for the council who gets a happier employee. So I think that we can think in much broader terms about mayors and charitable fundraising, how they can incorporate it as a part of their vision, but look into the other things that they can do, how they can create a committee to help them to take the pressure off civic staff, but also really how they can prepare for it, how we can look at induction to make sure that everything's very clear so that everybody really understands where everybody's coming from. So those are just a few of my thoughts on whether civic officers should be expected to help the mayor with fundraising. If you've got a question you'd like me to answer, pop your question in the little box up there and I'll endeavour to get back to you and record a little video like this one. So my name's Duncan Baskerand Brown. I'm the Civic Coach. Thank you very much. Good night.